Who knew? I mean, I didn't know. I've been in the art world for a long, long time, and I did not know this. This is the first time I've ever heard it, and it's the first time you're probably ever going to hear it. Our guest today is Hugh O'Neill. Hugh, what did you discover, and how did you discover it?
Well, as a young boy, I learning at university, one of the first questions I asked myself when I was sitting in Belfast or in France was, which was obvious to me, was I wonder what colors Monet, for instance, used since he was such. And I find myself going through all of these books, and I could, but eventually, I went to the library in the Louvre. I went to the Musée d'Orsay, which was, and I waded through all sorts of microfiches back in those days. And I came across a little article in a newspaper, and it explains how Monet was asked a question at one of Monet's rare presentations or visits to the Louvre.
No, I think you said this was when a presentation when he was talking about the water lilies.
Yes, it was the opening of the water lilies, and Monet apparently had mentioned to the curator, let somebody ask me something about painting, which I find in of itself, the fact that Monet would say that was really exciting. So I knew I was about to hear something that I had not, or find out something. So he says, the person in the audience got they asked one question, and the question, thank God, was, hey, Claude, Monet, Mr. Monet, what colors do you use? And this is the reply from Monet. I'll cut the response down a little bit. He says to the audience, well, my friends, it's not the colors that I use per se, it's how I use them. But if you really want to know what colors I use, here are the colors. And he names them. Flake white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow deep, vermilion, rose madder, cerulean blue, and believe it or not, which I find interesting, was emerald green or chrome green. I can't remember which one. And then he ends, interestingly, by saying, and that's that. Which in of itself means that, the idea of a limited palette, which I think is pretty new 70s thing. Obviously, he never used that term, limited palette, but there was a French word that I read that apparently he have used, and the translation would be a functional palette, meaning these were the colors that he felt, and a lot of his colleagues felt, you really should be using to get every other color that you need. And I found that fascinating.
Absolutely. Well, I've read a lot of books on Monet, but I've never seen his palette displayed. And so now we know what the colors are, and you found that by digging through the research and the old microfiche, and so thank goodness you did that. So now the question is, what are we going to do with it?
Well, what I'd like to do is, now I must say, I'm sure there's a lot of wonderful experts sitting in the audience all over the world. There are little deviations from what he just mentioned, but essentially what you're looking at is the main core of his palette. So what I would like to do is, for the audience, I'd like you just to go through one by one and look at what I like to call its potential, its passion, and what it can do. So, for instance, he would have had white, and he would have placed white over by his left side on his hip.
Now, he used a lead white.
He used a flake white.
Flake white, which is lead white.
Yes, there's quite a lot of lead in that, and obviously nowadays, it's frowned upon, and quite rightly. I did use flake white, lead white. It's a warmer white. I feel it's a beautiful, strong white, but it does have its toxic potential. But anyway, so the next color next to white would have been this beautiful lemon yellow. And in my world, and how I grew up and was taught, we called lemon yellow the green yellow. And I'm just going to go across to the opposite, which is...
We can't see the other corner of your palette.
Lyndon, how about that?
There we go.
Yeah. So if I take the lemon yellow, look, it's almost green already, and take the beautiful dark blue, which is the translucent Prussian blue, look how quickly uh, it turns to green. You could almost close your eyes, and if you knew which position your colors were on the palette, which a beginner should do, they should place each in the same position, and that way you get comfortable. It's almost like music. If you're going to learn an instrument, you need to know, how to hold, let's say, a flute in the fingers in a certain position to play G or A minor. But the scale and the notes never change, meaning that, F, A, C, E, E, G, B, D, F. Well, this is F, A, C, E, and E, G, B, D, F. And so what you're trying to get out of this is a melody. So anyway,
I have a website called Paint by Note, and it's the same concept as using your colors like music notes.
Well, exactly. And in fact,
hello,
if
India.
I just 2 seconds.
Hello, Istanbul.
So if I play.
Oh, you're a flautist.
Well, that sounds whatever way it sounds. But I had to go as a beginner. I had to learn the scale. And for a while, it was a little rough. But eventually, you learn how to be a little fluid. And with the notes, just like you said, Eric, you're correct. In fact, in art, they use the word notes. So after a while, you practice and you become what I call fluid. But you still haven't learned necessarily a melody. So you apply those same notes that you've spent whatever time it is. And now you're thinking about what you're going to make for dinner as you're playing the very notes that took you about 6 months, a year to perfect. But you apply those notes to a melody. And I think music is beautiful, and it has a lot of similarities, or should do, to the process of learning how to be an artist. And I love teaching beginners, because I think beginners are the essence of the artist, because you have to keep revisiting the fundamentals.
I had a cab driver one time strike up a conversation, and he said that if you actually he said all notes are a frequency and all colors have a frequency. If you study the frequency of the colors, they correspond to an actual music note.
Correct. Now, and I'll come back to the color in a second. I was explaining to my class that one of the notes that I had a problem with was a low note, sustaining a low note on a flute. Now, I play guitar, mandolin, and I don't have any problem with low notes. But when it comes to playing the flute, I'll give you an example. So here's a high note. I really don't have a problem with sustaining the beautiful note of that. But when I get down to the lower range, it takes everything I have, my breath, my mind, to sustain that low note. But that's the same in painting. Some new beginners may have a problem with the high notes, the brighter colors. And some new beginner painters may have some problem with the low notes or the gray colors. But don't worry, I'm speaking to beginners here. It isn't how do you learn how to be a painter in an 8-week workshop. It's what does Hugh O'Neill or what does Monet or what do these guys you like do every day, every hour to sustain themselves, to get stronger. And I like the term strong because it releases you from that, well, I got to go to a workshop and then I'll become an artist. Well, if you apply that to music, you don't go to a guy's teaching you violin or a lady, and 2 weeks or 4 weeks later, you become a musician. What you do is you become fluid and comfortable, and eventually you might become a virtuoso. And
you go from a level of incompetence to competence and various stages in between.
Well, absolutely. Now, the term loose, I don't, in my world, I would rather call that in my workshop, especially when I go to Ireland, I tell people you don't have to loosen up. You just have to remember what you learned. And looseness should be replaced with feeling confident. And confidence, when you're playing a musical instrument, results in that beautiful fluidity. And I think that's the way I teach, and that's how I like. But if you want me to show you a few more notes, I'd love to.
Yeah. So show us some of the notes, and then we'll actually show painting and how that all applies.
Absolutely. Now, if you look at the palette of Monet or Hugh O'Neill here, you'll notice there are no browns. And in fact, I don't really use green anymore, but I do have a green here. So let's say, for instance, for fun, let's say with the musician teacher, the flute teacher, he wants you to play B minor, but on the palette, it's called yellow ochre. So let me try to make you a yellow ochre, just like Monet would have done. So what he would have done, he would have taken white.
Is there any way we can get the camera closer on the palette?
It might be a little awkward, but
that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
How about that? So this is vermilion, rose madder. And if I take any of the blues, doesn't matter, and I make a nice purple, and I take the yellows, both yellows and white, you see it turning yellow ochre?
Wow. I would have never guessed purple turned into yellow ochre.
Well, the thing about it is, just like in music, the path I was taught by some great the path to earth colors is through the village of purple. And purples, as you know, are really, really interesting color because purples can go from reddish purples all the way up to bluish purples. But what's interesting is on the color wheel, if you look at the opposite of a reddish purple as opposed to a bluish purple, it's almost, they shift very, very quickly. So purples can become a wonderful means to make brown. Let me show you how I put. Now it's becoming just almost like burnt sienna type color. It's a nice brownish color. So purple. Now the next color beside lemon yellow, which we now call the green yellow, is cadmium yellow. And cadmium yellow is a wonderful, deep yellow, opaque. And if you put a little red beside it, cadmium red, you see how wonderfully orange that is. So that's why Monet, and that's why I don't use orange. The cadmium yellow and the cadmium red, two opaque colors, form a very, very dense, beautiful orange. So now I don't need to buy orange. If we turn the corner, you'll see I have two blues. And probably on your camera, you can't tell which is which. In fact, ultramarine blue to the beginner would look as dark to the beginner as phthalo or Prussian blue. So that's ultramarine and that's phthalo. But those two blues are like on the musical notation. They're so different and they're so capable of so many different things. And I'll give you an example. If I take the darkest color on the palette, meaning in value, which is the darkness or lightness of a color, and I put white in there, look at that. Look at that beauty. How quickly the Prussian blue opens up to a magnificent bright blue. Mm-hmm. Whereas ultramarine blue, when you say the word ultramarine blue, I don't know why, new students, beginners, they tend to think of sky and they tend to think of light. But in fact, in a way, what's hidden gem here is the Prussian or the phthalo blue, being the darkest to look at when you look at it on a camera, is actually capable of producing lighter colors of blues or greens than the ultramarine. because the ultramarine is a very, very opaque, and may I say, a very difficult color. If I just put ultramarine and a bit of red, I don't get that clarity of purple. It's dead. I don't get the clarity of purple I did with the Prussian and the... So, but you know, for a beginner, that probably all sounds complicated already. And so what I like to do is say, you know, you have plenty of time. You're not here to become an artist all at once. And in fact, one of the great American Impressionist teachers, Charles Hawthorne, turned around to his audience, his clients, his students, at the beginning of when they signed up for a year or 2 years. And this was his first words to his students, which I like. He said, make many starts and leave the picture making to those who call themselves artists. End of quote. Well, and this is what I think the students enjoy, the beginners. Let's learn a few notes together. Let's play a few notes together.
All right, Hugh, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back, and we'll hear more about this Monet palette. All right, let's get this show started.
All right.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Well, our guest today is Hugh O'Neill from Ireland, I believe. We're going to learn more about that in a second. He's a fabulous painter. And actually, I encountered him for the first time at the Armory Arts Center in West Palm Beach, where he was teaching. And that's where I first learned how to paint. So that's pretty cool. Our prize today, if you leave a comment in the comments section, you can win the world famous Plein Air apron, deep pockets, adjustable. The winner of the last prize, most recent, is Joanne Berardi in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she gets a subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur magazine, which I think is a pretty good magazine. We have a free gift for you today, and that is 240 Plein Air painting tips. Just go to pleinairlive.com/240. And if you want to subscribe to this program, got an email from YouTube this morning, and viewership is through the roof. Subscriptions are through the roof, and we're just kind of really inching up to try to hit that 100,000 mark. And you can help by subscribing. Go to YouTube and search Streamline Art, and just hit the subscribe and then the little bell for notification. That would be really helpful. Also, if you would follow on Facebook and Instagram, it's Eric Rhodes. That would be helpful. Okay, well, I want to talk about a couple of things. First off, smoke. Let's talk smoke, right? So I got a call. I actually got a text from Elaine Miller last night. Hi, Elaine, if you're watching. And she's like, well, I heard on the news there are these fires in New Mexico. And she said, and I know sometimes you have to have a little oxygen can with you because of adjusting to altitude in Santa Fe. She said, well, what happens if the fires hit my oxygen can? It's going to explode. I had to say, look, the fires are far, far away, a few hundred miles from Santa Fe. What we talked to the hotel this morning, the Buffalo Thunder, where we're holding the Plein Air convention, and the hotel guy said, look, he said, we have days when it's clear. He said, it's windy right now and it's clear. He said, we have days when you can smell the smoke or it's a little smokier. He said, but it's not a problem. It's not unsafe. You tell your friends to please come. And so, but what we decided to do this morning is we decided, for those of you who might be concerned about this or on the fence about coming, we will set up, like we have done in the past, we will set up a painting room or two indoors for those times when we all go painting together. We will set up a place if you don't want to go outdoors. Let's say it's a particularly smoky day and you just don't want to risk it. Maybe you have asthma or something. Then you could just stay indoors and in the nice air conditioning, and we'll project images and you can paint from there. All right. So that's an option for you. And anyway, I hope you'll come. Excuse me. Excuse me. Anyway, that's the Plein Air Convention, which is coming up. It'll be next week. A week from tomorrow, I'll be getting on an airplane and going there. My team is leaving on Friday with all the AV equipment and everything that has to be set up. Takes a few days, and basically this one's been in planning for now 3 years. So we hope you'll come. But if you can't come to the Plein Air Convention in Santa Fe, we hope that you'll come to the event online. All right, because you can attend. We've got 60 instructors and people who work with you in the field, and so that's important. I also want to say that I'm not going to be on live now for a few days, maybe like through the convention, because, well, here's what's going on. I got to go to the convention. It's very hard for me to be on live during the convention because I'm on stage. Then I got to get back here, and then I'm going to be driving to the Adirondacks in upstate New York, and then getting ready for the painters event, the Paint Adirondacks, which we'll talk about in a second. And then, and then I'll get set up, and then I'll resume again. So I might not be live for a little while. I'll try to slip in if I can, possibly. But in the meantime, I just want to get these announcements out of the way. So make sure you come to the convention. I should mention the convention price to attend online is a fraction. It's like $347 if you get the general admission. You can get longer replays, but they all come with replays. And so make sure you sign up for the convention. And if you can drive in or come, we would love to have you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is my event in the Adirondacks. I have I think I saw 13 seats left to the Adirondack event, and that takes place in June in the Adirondacks. The date is the date's now, June 11th through 18. And so we end before Father's Day, I believe, and you can come and paint for a week. And the nice thing is you don't have to do any cooking or cleaning or taking care of family members. You just get a break, right? So you show up. None of us have time to paint every day, or very few of us, even the pros, right? Very hard to get outdoors and paint every day. So you're going to knock out 2-3 paintings a day. We're going to go to different locations, beautiful scenery. Somebody like Terrell Gable gets up at 5:30 in the morning. She gets one done before breakfast. She does the sunset. She'll knock out 5 or 6 in a day, but most of us 2 or 3 in a day. And by the end of that week, we're really tuned up. We're really ready for summer because we're painting like rock stars, and we're all friends. We all just paint together. We have a great time. And so that is paintadirondacks.com. And if you want to come and hang out, we would love to have you come and hang out. I don't take any staff members with me or team members with me because I like to do it on my own. And this year, no exception. I'm there, just me. My kids will help out. My kids and my wife are going to come to the Plein Air Convention this year. That's exciting. Anyway, that's what I got going on. So I wanted to tell you about that. We also have Pastel Live coming up in August, and we're adding more and more faculty to this. And so you want to check that out. But let's get back to Hugh O'Neill. All right, Hugh, I got my announcements out of the way.
Oh, well, they were all very interesting. And maybe, Eric, I've spoken to you a few times over many, many years. Maybe you'll invite me to one of those wonderful conventions. I'll be happy to do a demo on stage.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll work on that. We've got to get that. We got to start working on the next couple pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to do this, and I'll continue where I left off, if that's okay.
Yep. You're on.
So, and by the way, I want to welcome a lot of people from all around the world, and in Europe, I know are going to watch this or are watching it. And I want to reach out to everyone and invite them to my workshop in Ireland in July. It's only a week. It's a week, and it's an amazing experience. But now I'm going to just have fun. Fun meaning I'm going to paint a painting here. And you can
Hugh,
see
to what you just said, let me just say this. If you're watching, make sure you leave a comment and tell us where you're watching from. That way we know, and you have a chance to win the Plein Air Magazine apron. I see South Africa on there. Welcome.
So we're just going to put some
We cannot see your canvas now. We need to bump that up a little bit.
Okay, we'll just move that up.
There we go.
How about that?
Now we're not going to see your palette. So just move it over. We don't need to see you. We'll just need
How about that?
that works.
So I'll just paint, and you can see how the just going to put some water down here. It's a little beach scene that I've painted for many, many years in Northern Ireland. I know it's almost like when you learn music and you learn to play, let's say, Amazing Grace or whatever. Now you know it off by heart. And you can play it while you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner, you know. So, but you still have learned the notes. You practiced. You're in control.
By the way, what are you going to have for dinner?
I'm not sure. Maybe a salad. So I'm just going to put a little. You can see how fluid I paint. I'm not using any linseed oil or any mediums. I'm using
with turpentine.
Just odorless turpentine, which I like. I mean, other people don't, but I use such thick paint that that the turpentine doesn't really dilute the energy nor the strength of the paint. And I'm just going to do a little cliff scene, some rocks on the left. But you can try to be as. Over the years, I've noticed I've become a lot more maybe potentially expressionistic, which is what I consider just the same. I'm the same artist. I'm just like the musician. I'm just less inclined to hesitate, and so the brushwork looks quite expressive. And I wish I was in my own studio, but that's okay. I'm having fun here. I'm in the Easel Art Studio where I teach on Mondays. My own place living in Florida. They fixing the AC unit, so I didn't want to be there where all the noise. You wouldn't have enjoyed that.
A lot of people from Hawaii watching today.
Say that again, Eric.
I said a lot of people from Hawaii watching today.
Oh, that's good. That's a nice part of the world. Hello, Hawaii.
Aloha.
Aloha.
I see Dawn Lundquist. She used to be from Hawaii. Now she's in Mexico.
So, Erica, you've been amazing. I followed your wonderful stuff that you do, and it's so wonderful.
Would you answer that?
Sorry. Someone will answer. The life of a painter.
So can you explain what you're doing here?
What I'm doing is let's continue with the musical analogy. For many, many years, I lived up until I was 31 in a certain area of Ireland. And so visually, I go back there all the time. So just like the musician that has learned how to play Amazing Grace, whatever, eventually you've played it so many times, you know it inside out, that you actually start trying to tweak the notes or make this tune your own. It's still Amazing Grace, but somehow you play the notes in a certain way, and you make the tune your own, like. and you fiddle around with notes, but they're the same notes, but you're sort of being a lot more expressionistic. So this scene, which is of a distant headland with a little village that sits near, I have painted there for 40, maybe 40 years or so. And so I'm just building the painting up to resemble the area. Now, if you notice what I'm doing, I haven't drawn anything, because what I was taught by a great artist called Tom Carr, OBE, he's dead now, God bless his soul. There are no lines in nature, only areas of color, one against the other, which means that even though you need to learn how to draw, obviously, that in fact, when it comes to painting and having a sense of light and volume, that in the internal pictorial sense, that actually the lines in nature don't exist, because it's one color. I'll give you an example. Let me redo the purple of the cliff. So rather than draw a line, if I paint the shape of the distant little headland and refine the edge, it's creating to the viewer a line. I think it was Degas said, Pizarro. It's the right color in the right place of the right tone that will produce your drawing, which is amazing to think. So with color alone, and I always encourage my students, if you're not a great drafts person, I call it, if you're not a great drawer, don't worry, that'll come along. But color is a lifelong experience, and you need to get into that as quickly as possible. So I'm having fun here. I'm building up a picture of somewhere that I already know the melody. I know the notes that I set there as a little boy. And so I'm just having fun. I'm not painting from real life. And as you see, something's coming alive. I'm about to run out of white, and I don't want to stop. And it's pretty already, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has a sort of a life. Now, again, let me emphasize, especially to the new students, the beginners. Let me talk to you. Don't be intimidated certainly by this, or that you need to be an artist all at once. What you need is to have fun and sign up in your life to get stronger. That's the way to do it. So if you go to a gym and you want to run a lot longer distance, you go to the gym and you'll go for weeks or months, and eventually you build up the muscle and your cardio. Well, that's the way I think of painting. It isn't, will someone like my painting? It's, will I have a stronger painting today than I did the other day, and so on. And so that's a lifelong, beautiful journey. And some days you don't feel like it. Some days you're vulnerable or whatever. But at least you've given yourself that lifetime journey. And even Monet said, I didn't become an impressionist. I was always an impressionist. And Monet actually said, color is my lifelong joy and torment. He called it torment. So let me just put a few more colors. You see me mixing the various. Yeah.
Get Plein.
Yeah. So Eric, do you like the process here so far? What?
Of course I like the process. You? You're getting a lot of color range out of all that you've got there. Very, very limited palette.
Well, I'm not gonna continue much longer because you can see where I'm headed, and I'll just stop there. But you can see where I'm headed.
Well, you can keep going. That's fine. We got a little more time for you. We would love to see what your next steps would be. Now that you've got it blocked in, what's next?
The next step would be to grab this white for 2 seconds.
All right. Our guest today is Hugh O'Neill in Florida. He's in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. All right. Running out of you. About time for a new tube of white there, Hugh.
Yep. Are you still with me?
I'm with you. Somebody in the comments, Lamia says, I can feel the breeze on that coast.
Yes.
Hello, Nova Scotia.
Yes.
Says, I can't wait to paint apple blossoms, which are big here.
Oh, really? That's good.
You guys can visit Hugh's website. We put it in the comments. And that's where you can find out about his workshops, etc. in Ireland.
Yep.
Tell all those people in the background to hush.
Eric, because it's not my studio, and unfortunately, we're going to have people walking in here any moment.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we'll be gentle.
Well, thank you.
Are you teaching there today?
No, I have to vacate the premises because we have my place was getting a new new roof and a new so we have people coming in right on top of it, but that's a good thing. They're all good people and they're coming in to paint.
Okay. Well, tell them that if they want to come on camera, that they're going to be seen by thousands of people.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to sit beside me and watch?
No. Get the glasses in there.
So you can see that I'm build up here to, and so what I would do is I probably would stop at this point.
All right. Well, we'll let you.
It's pretty though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you've got us all wanting to go to Ireland.
Yeah, we're going to Ireland on the July 11th to the 21st.
Do you participate in that big plein air event over there in Ireland?
I haven't done the Wexford one, no, but I think I paint so fast, and so they're scared of me.
I'm scared of you.
Look at this guy. No, they're really sweet. No, I haven't been there yet, but I hope to.
All right. Well, they'll be watching, so you can invite Hugh on. All right. Well, Hugh, thank you so much. Why don't you change your camera? I'm going to flip to now. We can't see you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eric.
Well, turn your camera so we can see you real quickly.
Oh, how do I do?
Or scoot over to the left.
Okay.
Just lean over. There you go. All right, Hugh. Well, thank you so much for being on today. We really appreciate it. And thanks for the ideas on how Monet used color.
I really appreciate it, Eric. It's been a pleasure to meet you after all this time, even though we're camera to camera.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Hugh. Our guest today is Hugh O'Neill, and you can learn more about him. His website, of course, is up on the in the comments if you want to do that. Just a reminder, this is my last day live for a while. My apologies, but it's just getting too busy. Plein air convention coming up, trying to get all my I'm writing Art Marketing Bootcamp, been working on it for weeks. And Amadine just sent me a note. I'm on live on Thursday. So, okay, it's not my last time live, second from the last. Anyway, getting our Art Marketing Bootcamp written for the Plein Air Convention. You will also be able to attend Art Marketing Bootcamp online if you sign up for the online version of the Plein Air Convention. If you have not seen that yet, go to the website. Somebody called me the other day. I had contacted them and let them know about the Plein Air Convention virtual because I knew they weren't coming. And they said, I had no idea, even though I've been talking about it forever. That's just how things go. Hope you guys have a great day. Leave your comments and make sure to leave a comment so you can win a prize, and tell us where you're watching from. And that's all I got today. I'm out of juice already. So keep your head in the game, stay strong, stay positive, and keep painting. We will see you on the other side. I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. Bye-bye.